influence. I tell you what, there are certain people in our lives who they have influence. We live in a society today where we even have a subcategory of influencers that we pay to influence us, right? They tell us what to eat, where to go on holidays. I don't know, anybody watch YouTube channels and enjoy all the influencers on there? But if we want to talk about a true influencer in our lives, it's our mothers. I want to start by saying thank you. I have three great mothers in my life that I want to start by acknowledging first. And number one, I want to say thank you to my own mother. My mother has the patience of a saint. I was not the easiest of children to raise. If something was broken in the house, they knew who to look to. If somebody was fighting in the house, they knew who was making the noise. If somebody was just causing trouble, I want to say thank you to my own mother. Can I say the reason why, probably the greatest reason why today I have a faith is because of my mother. Number two, I want to say thank you to my mother-in-law. Now, I know some of us have rough things to say about mother-in-laws, but I want to say I have a fantastic mother-in-law, and I want to publicly say I am so grateful for her. I'm so thankful for the woman that she raised that I was allowed to marry. My mother-in-law, by the way, one of the greatest lessons, and I really did say this from the bottom of my heart, my mother-in-law really helped influence my life on how to have a simple, quieter faith. My mother-in-law, the way she lives out her Christian life is in a simpler, more quiet way, and she's really influenced me on how to take a step back and have a quiet, simple faith that is real, that does not have to be big and flashy and showy, but this is how we live because it's who we are. And I want to say thank you to my mother-in-law. The third mother in my life that I must say thank you to is my own wife. We have two sons, and can I just say, if it had been left to me, they probably would be no sons because they would have not survived. No, my wife is, I tell you, I cannot say enough how much I am thankful for the hard work that she's done to be a mother to my two boys, or to our two boys. And I want to say they're fantastic young men, and I love the influence that she's had in their life. The patience, the late nights, just day after day of being a mom. And I want to say this, I cannot honor these three women and say thank you enough to them. Today I want to look at a passage of Scripture where we talk about the influence that mothers have. Now, as we talk today, I want to say this very carefully. I do not come this morning to preach, to teach mothers how to be mothers. I do not know how to be a mother. I've never been one. I do not come to try to offer great words of advice because the best advice that I've ever been given has been from my mother. So, I do not come with that in mind. I do not come this morning to try to be, hey, let's let's inspire you guys, inspire us. But what I would like to do is to stop and honor our mothers. I want to take a passage of Scripture this morning that has been taken out of context for so long that I want to stop and reclaim it in a place of where it belongs, and that is as a place of honor to mothers. In Proverbs chapter 31, we're given a passage that is often spoken of as the virtuous woman. And sadly, so often I hear this passage preached on in a way that stops to say, hey, if you want to be a great, godly, virtuous woman, here's how you live. In fact, that is not what this passage is even about. In Proverbs chapter 31, we get a passage written, collected by, and we don't know whether it's written by Solomon or if it's been collected by Solomon, but it's been put in the book of Proverbs, and it is a saying that has been given by a mother. Proverbs 31 is not a teaching to women. In fact, it is a teaching to a young man. It is a mother who is trying to teach her son how to honor, number one, how to be a good man and how to honor his wife. So, in Proverbs chapter 31, we're going to start with verse 1 just so that you get a context of how this passage actually goes down. And it goes like this. The sayings of King Lemuel. These contain the message which his mother taught him. I want that to sink in for a moment because so often this is a passage that has been preached at women, and it is never intended to ever be preached at women. In fact, this is a teaching of a mother to her son, King Lemuel. Now, who is King Lemuel? We don't know. Some people believe it is another name for Solomon. We have no other passage where he's referred to as King Lemuel. It is also believed that he was a king in one of the small Assyrian. Back in the day, you had a lot of little kingdoms. It's not like today where we have the king of England, the king of wherever. Every little province and sometimes even towns had their own little kings back in the day. So King Lemuel might have just been a wealthy man who ran over a town or ran the political situation. We do not know. We do not know who he is. However, what we do know is that he is a person of influence. He's a person of wealth. And he's a person whose mother steps up and says, King Lemuel, you need to learn a few things. Now, as she starts off, she is determined that she is going to influence her son to be a good man. She is one of our first influencers who, if we would have grasped her teachings when they were given, when they were collected, if we would have lived by these things, can I say, a lot of our wars that we have between sexes today would not be. But that's not the way we work, is it? We take a couple thousand years to learn our lessons, and we're still learning them. But King Lemuel takes this saying, and he passes them. This is my guess. He says, Solomon, my mom taught me this, and I think you need to record it in that book you're writing. Okay, I don't know if that's the way it went. But King Solomon read it, and he said, wow, that is brilliant stuff. It is going to be preserved. And so he puts it down. Now, that's my own theory. Do not bank on it because I just made that up, okay? I don't know if that's how it went or not. But what we do know is that God decided to record it for us for all time. Now, the beginning of King Lemuel's teaching from his mother, she influences him. And we're not going to focus too much on this part of it. But she starts off Proverbs 31 by telling him several different things. She focuses on three ideas. King Lemuel, as a young man who has influence, I want to start with three things I want you to know. Number one, do not abuse women. Do not use women. Okay, can I encourage you to go back and read this passage later? But here's what she tells him. Do not go running around. Do not see women as objects to use. That's her number one, first piece of advice she gives him. Number two, she says, King Lemuel, as a man of authority and as a man of influence that you have, as a man of wealth, do not allow alcohol to control you. Do not allow alcohol to stop and fog your mind. Do not allow it to stop and fog your judgments. Don't be one of those guys. This is a mama she's laying it down thick to her son. Number 3, King Lemuel, you have wealth, you have influence. Use your voice for the voiceless. This is how she begins her teaching. This is not a teaching. By the way, Proverbs 31 is not a lesson to women. Can I say that enough? We so often hear this as the virtuous woman, the Proverbs 31, the virtuous woman. Proverbs 31 is a teaching of a mother to her son to treat people properly. In fact, if we want to put it anywhere, this is a teaching that most of us men need to know in order how to honor the women in our lives. Now, here's where we're going to get in a little bit more, because as his mother gets influencing him and teaching him, she stops and she leaves, and she ends with her most important teaching to this point. She stops and she says this, King Lemuel, you need to know how to treat your wife. She is not just your wife, she is the mother of your children, and you as a person of influence need to know how to honor her. Okay. Here's where it gets heavy. This is a spot, by the way, not for women. This is a spot for King Lemuel to understand how to treat his wife. To honor, to show respect. Okay, we're going to start in Proverbs chapter 31 and read verses 11 and 12. She says to him, she starts by saying, King Lemuel, let's just read it. Her husband can trust her, and she will gently enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. King Lemuel's mother is starting to say, I'm going to save my most important teaching to the end. King Lemuel, your wife needs to be a person that you are not competing with. Don't try to put her in her place. She is your partner and your equal. When we read this passage, King Lemuel's mom is trying to be very careful and very strategic in that he understands that his wife is his equal. Trust her. She enriches your life. She brings good, not harm. These are not the teachings of how to train a young woman. This is a teaching for King Lemuel to understand how he can honor the most important person in his life, and that is his wife, who is raising his children. But she doesn't stop here. She goes on in Proverbs chapter 31, verses 13 and 14, and she says this. Your wife. Now, I put that part in there so that we understand who she's referring to. She says, King Lemuel, your wife, she finds wool and flax, and she busily spins it. Your wife is like a merchant ship. She brings her food from afar. In verse 16, she continues to go on to say this. King Lemuel, your wife, she goes out, she inspects the field, she buys it. She, with her own earnings, she plants a vineyard. What she's trying to tell us is this. King Lemuel, you need to give space for your wife to do what she is good at. King Lemuel, number one, stop trying to compete with your wife. She is there to be your equal, to be your partner. Number two, you need, as a person of influence, stop trying to control your wife and give her a space to be who she was made to be. You need to be proud of her accomplishments. By the way, we get so caught up on equal rights. What does it mean to equal rights? What does it mean? King Lemuel's mother here's a guy of influence and wealth. And King Lemuel's mother is saying, King Lemuel, get your act together. You are not the only person who got a voice. Give a voice to those who need a voice. Allow your wife to have her voice. Stop competing with. Allow her space to be who she was created to be. And by the way, King Lemuel's wife, whoever she was, obviously was an amazing woman, because if you understand the times of that day, they were not given the right to buy property. It was considered to be their own. It considered to be their husband's. And King Lemuel's wife or mother is saying, give space, give her room to be herself. And then I want to say this. She goes on to make a statement that I believe is relevant to every mom who has loved and given her all for their children. In Proverbs 31, 25 through 26, she concludes by saying this. King Lemuel, your wife is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. I think there's something very powerful in those two words. She is clothed with strength and dignity. By the way, as every mother knows, strength comes from hard-fought battles. For every woman who has had a part in a child's life, who has influenced, whether they're your own, whether they're your grandchildren, whether they're your nieces, they're your nephews, whether you're a school teacher, strength comes because there are hard-fought battles that must be won. It never comes on a golden platter. It never comes simply because someone thinks you deserve it. It comes because you care. It comes because you've taken the time to invest in the life of someone else. Look, I understand when King Lemuel is giving his advice to his son, he is not trying to idealize women. No one can be everything. He's not trying to sit there and say, hey, she's not saying, hey, you've got a perfect wife. What she's trying to remind him is, King Lemuel, you are one who has been given so much. Be respectful. Honor. Give value. Show dignity to those who have earned it. She is your equal, and she is worth more than you're giving her credit for. Now, can I say this? I want to go down to verse 28, and we're going to kind of close with this verse. In verse 28, she says this, her children stand and bless her. Her husband praises her. And then, just to make sure her son gets the point, she closes with this statement, reward her for all she has done. Let her deeds publicly declare her praise. We give honor to those who have given so much. Today, I want to say this. We're celebrating the hardest job there is. Rusty, I'm going to send him out to go bring the kids in. We celebrate the hardest job there is. Now, you know this. For every late night that you have stayed up, thank you. For every meal that you have cooked, for every time you stayed home to doctor a flu, for every Band-Aid that you have stuck on a skinned knee, for every dental visit and doctor's appointment you have made, for every button you have re-sewn on, for every heart you have helped mend. On top of that, for every hour you have worked to help make ends meet. Your strength, your dignity is an inspiration that all we can do is say thank you to.